But I also got 13 reforms that will change the way the state moves forward. And those reforms include things like no longer is there built-in increases time after time after time. We are the closest in this state to be a zero-based budgeting state. Commissioner Showalter has said that. He said the reforms that we instituted last year have done that. So I have the right now the expertise to do that. That's what I want to take to Washington, and that's what I will take. I believe that, you know, if there was a way to starve the beast, and that's the bureaucratic beast, it would be that everybody that loses, like Congressman Walz, everybody underneath him should go. The bureaucracy that he uses to do what he does should go. That's one way to start solving the problem. The other way is to take the rulemaking authority away from the agencies. We are doing that in the state of Minnesota, and it's driving them crazy. I've had commissioners sit in my committee and tell me I don't have the background to develop rules and regulations. And I said, with all due respect, that's what we hired you for. We didn't hire you to make laws. That's our job. I'm telling you, folks, if we get rules and regulations back into the hands of Congress to where they have to deal with the rule, they have to pass it off their floors, they have to send it to the president so he can sign it into law. That's the way it should work. Again, I go back to, we've given our authority away to people who are not elected. You put your trust into a person because you believe that person would do the right thing. And then that person goes and says, no, I'm going to give it to somebody that we hired over here to make the laws because I don't want to be, you know, if something comes back, I can point the fingers at somebody else. That's not right. That's what we have to do. And I believe of anything, you control the rulemaking process in this country and you change the direction of this country.
How do you do that?
Laws. You have to get laws passed to pull that rulemaking. We authorized the people to do this. We can take that back. You have to work like-minded people. It's like what happened last week on my Senate committee, in my committee. We were talking just about this. Senator Aldecreif had a bill up to handcuff the rulemaking process. In other words, take it back to the legislature. Yeah, they can make rules, but it's got to come back through the process. Senator Cohen on the DFL side said, well, we can't do that. There's so many rules. I mean, we wouldn't have enough time. And I said, Senator Cohen, so what you're really telling me is that you're okay giving your authority away that your constituents gave you to do this job? Are you okay with that? To which he says, well, that's not what I mean. And he never said another word. Well, maybe if we had the authority back, we wouldn't have all these rules and regulations. And maybe that agency wouldn't grow as big as it's growing. That's what we have to do. We have to take it back, and we have to have that principled candidate with a backbone, again, that will stand up to the union bosses, to those liberals that all they want to do is take what is ours and try to give it to somebody else. That's what we have to have. And it's tough. You know, right now I was just listening to KTLK, and they're all over one of the representatives. You know, they're talking to her about how she's being attacked just because she read a statement that she'd gotten from somebody. We have to stop that. And we need people that can do just that. But again, I go back to, we have to beat Tim Walz. I know I can do that. I know I'm the guy that can do that because I can talk, and I did in my Senate race. I had to talk to everyone, our base, the independents, and those Reagan Democrats. They came together and they said, this is what we want. And that's why I was able to win 2 elections in 1 year. And when your Senate district kind of looks like the 1st congressional district, I'm going to have to do the same thing. Because there are people out there hurting. And when if you want to follow the money, it ends in the pocketbook. And that's what we have to talk about. Yes,
Mike, I'm sure this is something probably has already been brought up to you, but How can we attract more of the veterans to your campaign, to your election?
Well, having served in the National Guard, I have a lot of friends. I have a lot of friends that are just coming back or just came back from Afghanistan, who did the tour of duties, that will be coming out very strong for me. I know a lot of the veterans through my father, when he was still alive, that when I went to Rochester, I was amazed at how many remembered this kid as Joe Parry's son. And so I'm reconnecting with them. And they are going to talk, and they're going to talk strong about their disappointment in Congressman Tim Walz, because they're disappointed. Some of whom even voted for him are disappointed. And they're going to come out and they're going to start talking. It isn't, you will not find me, as I believe Congressman Walz has done, you will not find me using veterans, as our governor did, as a political pawn. I flatly refuse to dishonor a veteran by playing that political game. And I proved that when I stood up to Governor Dayton when he tried to pull the Honor Guard funding. That was wrong. That was a disgrace. And you won't see me using veterans as a political ploy, as our congressman has, to win a congressional race. I want veterans who believe in me to stand by me. And that's what we're going to do. And they're coming out of the woodwork, sir. They're coming out and they're saying, we're going to be there for you because we have not been represented the right way.
Thank you.
On Sam's comment, when Mary was doing get out the vote phone calling, some Republicans thought that Walz is a Republican because he was for veterans, there's older veterans, so somehow we'll have to get that out.
Right. Yeah,
Oh,
well,
honestly, there's more than one. Is there?
Kind of a two-part question. The first one's going to be how do you think you managed to attract Reagan Democrats and independents in your state Senate run? And secondly, tied to what Greg and Sam said, Tim Walz hides behind the fact that he's a veteran and he's pro-gun to hide a voting record which is to the left of Dennis Kucinich, who thankfully we don't have to deal with anymore because he lost his primary. How do you see yourself? I noticed that you got endorsed by the NRA. How do you plan on exposing what is a very liberal record except in two very high profile areas? And how do you tie that to winning over Reagan Democrats and independents?
well, I think first and foremost, what I found out in my Senate races is that, I don't shy away from walking up to a house that has my competitor's sign in it. I hit all the houses. I want to hear from everybody. I don't care what side of the aisle they're on. I want them to know that I'm interested in what they're thinking. But it boils down to one simple thing. Everybody's pocketbook is feeling the pinch. I don't care what party you're with. And that's what we talk about. We talk about this economy. And as a businessman, I can talk about what it takes to run a business and how the rules and regulations hurt. And when they hurt, and I don't have the confidence to expand, or when the economy is so bad, our family was looking at expanding 3 Godfather's Pizza, along with the one we have. We were going to put one back here in New Ulm, we were going to put one in New Prague, and we were going to put one in Northfield. Well, when the economy went into the tank, all that's off the table. When the rules and regulations, because of things that Congressman Walz is part of, which was this crash, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, Frank Dodds, what that has done to our banking industry is unbelievable. In the state of Minnesota alone, it's taken almost $9 billion of spendable entrepreneurial income out of the state because the banks can't work with you now. So when you get a chance to talk and realize that this is the plan, this is where I'm going, this is what I want to do. We need to close the checkbook, folks. We cannot any longer continue to deficit spend. And when you have a congressman that 6 times Congressman Walz voted to increase the debt limit